Hey guys, Jonathan here, back again doing another movie review, and today we'll be reviewing Solo: A Star Wars Story. Now, Solo: A Star Wars Story is directed by Ron Howard and features Alden Ehrenreich, I think that's how you pronounce his name, Emilia Clarke, Donald Glover, Woody Harrelson, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, uh, Paul Bettany, Joonas Suotamo, and Aaron Kellyman. So the plot of Solo Star Wars Story is that we follow with Han Solo, who is a full-time smuggler. So, and what Han Solo does is he always loves doing deals and smuggling, and he loves doing it for money. He just loves doing that. So and then he 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 ends up joining a gang of smugglers too. Yeah, he ends up joining a gang of smugglers, and then he ends up meeting this Wookiee named Chewbacca, and Chewbacca Chewbacca agrees to help him out, and uh, and then once that happens, they go to this planet, and there's this main boss of the smugglers named Dryden Voss, and so Han Solo and the gang end up doing this deal with Dryden Voss to go to the planet Kessel to steal a bunch of coaxium. So um, I think is it coaxium or coaxium? I think it's coaxium. So they have to do a deal for that, and in order to do that, they have to get a ship, the Millennium Falcon, and so they end up doing that, and they drive the Millennium Falcon around everywhere, and then to Kessel, and so that's basically the plot of Solo: A Star Wars Story. Now, do I like a Star Wars story? Solo: A Star Wars Story? Yeah, I like it. It's not amazing by any means. It's one of the weaker Star Wars movies, but that's not a bad thing. This movie is still not really good, but it's pretty good. Um, it's don't get me wrong. It's not as bad as the first two prequel movies. This movie's actually pretty solid. Um, and it actually has some pretty good storytelling to it. And it's pretty good. But for the origin of one of the greatest characters that ever existed in film history, it could have been so much better. It could have been so much better than it really is. They could have made here Han Solo does not act like he does in the original trilogy. He does not act awesome or cocky like he was in the original trilogy. He does not act like that at all until the ending of the film. So Han Solo in this movie, but for what he has in this movie, it's okay. I mean, it's okay. But the actors that play them, even the actors, we don't even see that they're playing one of the greatest characters that ever existed in film history, like Han Solo, and you don't and Childish Gambino playing Lando Calrissian. You don't even feel like you're seeing. At times you do, but the actor doesn't really feel like he's putting too much effort in playing Lando Calrissian. So the story to this and as its own it's pretty good. So what else was I gonna say? Han Solo in this movie, like I said, he is not as like he was in the original trilogy, but he's still really cool. So here he's a full on smuggler, and you can tell that this guy really loves money, and he loves doing a lot of deals, even if it's so much dangerous. So and and I really love the introduction of the Millennium Falcon in this movie. I just love how they introduced Millennium Falcon, and I love how Han Solo and Chewie first meet. That scene was actually pretty cool. Where Chewie is this it's supposed to be this beast that eats the prisoners, and that was really cool, and they put Han Solo under the ground to get fed by Chewie. But Chewie's Beating the shit out of Han Solo, and then he's about to drown him in the mud, but Solo's speaking the language of the Wookiees. And he says he knows a little, and like he tells him like, oh, I can get you out of here and all of that, and like so like they do end up getting out of there, and like after that they like end up sticking together because like they're handcuffed to each other, and like I think they end up like they end up like uncuffing each other, but like Chewie like still wants to stay with Solo because he feels like Solo would be his friend. So yeah, and I love the scene where like they're showering together because like they were all dirty from like the muddy place they were in. Yeah, I love that scene. Um, and he's like, couldn't you wait a little bit longer? So yeah, and Han Solo in this movie, he's actually pretty funny at times. That's one thing they got right from Han Solo in the originals. In this movie, he's actually pretty funny. So yeah, what else was I gonna say? Anything else? So yeah, I really like the introduction to the Millennium Falcon, where like Solo like buys it off Lando from like a card game. So yeah, what else was I gonna say? So yeah, I like Lando in this movie too. He's okay. So yeah, and like I love how like the Millennium Falcon had like a middle part to it. Like in the original trilogy, like there was like a middle part in the in the front of the Millennium Falcon that had nothing on it. But here it actually has something on it. So yeah, I really like how it has that on it. And I love how like it shows you how that middle part ended up breaking because like they were like in like this like storm coming out of like a planet, and like they had to like take off the middle part, which was like the escape pods or something like that. So yeah, um, what else was I gonna say? The scenery to this movie, the setting and the special effects, they're pretty good. They're pretty good in this movie. So yeah, they're not like the some of the greatest special effects like the sequel trilogy had, but like they're still really cool. They're still really cool to look at. Like they're nothing like the how like the prequels special effects. These are actually really cool to look at. So yeah, but like yeah, the one thing I don't like about this movie is that the way it looks it's the whole all the places they're in are kind of dry and they're kind of bland, and like just like just the places they are in are just feel really bland, and like this movie like has like a gray look to it, and it's just really bland. So that's another thing I don't like about the movie. Another thing too, I think this movie might be the most forgettable Star Wars movie, but like I do kind of see why, but like it's a little underrated in my opinion, just a little. I do think it does deserve its place in film history, but in my opinion, it's just a smidge underrated. But like, yeah, this movie is like the most forgettable movie. I think the Star Wars ripoff movies are the most forgettable Star Wars movies ever. Like Rogue One and this movie are the most forgettable Star Wars movies ever. Like nowadays, you don't even see a lot of people talking about those movies nowadays. Like they're really forgettable. Like they would only talk about them when they first came out, and that was it. So yeah, um, and I even almost forgot to review these movies. Like right now, I was gonna review A New Hope, but then I was like, holy shit, I forgot about Solo and Rogue One, and I have to review those first before I review the good stuff. So yeah, yeah, so like here I am talking about Solo. So yeah, all the actors in this movie. Let's talk about the actors. The actors in this movie, they all do a really good job. Like Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo, he actually did he did good for what he was given, but like as like the greatest like character, one of the greatest characters in film history, he did not do uh he did not do he did all right playing him, but like for what he was given, he did pretty good. um Amelia Clark as Kira, she was pretty good. I forgot to talk about Kira too. Kira's Han Solo's love interest in this movie. She's a pretty good love interest in this movie, and I love how like in the beginning of the movie, like they had to like leave each other, they had to separate, and like they hadn't seen each other for like 5 years or 3 years, 3 to 5 years, I think, something like that, or a year. I don't know. So yeah, yeah, I love when like they see each other again. She's working with Dryden Voss, like she's Dryden Voss's secretary. So yeah, I really like that, and I love how like she joins like the she joins Han Solo and Lando and all of them to like this quest for Dryden Voss. So yeah, and I love when like they kiss on the Millennium Falcon. So yeah, uh, so yeah, and she was a pretty good love interest, but she was nowhere near as good as a perfect love interest as Princess Leia was in the original trilogy. But she was still a pretty good love interest. Um, so yeah, and like yeah, what else was I gonna say? This review will not contain spoilers because like I'm pretty sure not a lot of people have seen the Star Wars ripoff movies. So yeah, I'll try to stay away from spoilers. But like I will have just one spoiler in this movie that I'm pretty sure everybody knows about, even if they haven't seen this movie. I'll get to it later on in the review. Um, so yeah, Kira was a pretty good love interest in this movie. Um, yeah, and Woody Harrelson as Beckett, he was really good too. Woody Harrelson is a really talented actor, and yeah, he was really good in this movie too. For like joining a Star Wars movie, he was really good in this movie. So yeah, I love his friendship with Han Solo in the movie, and I love how like he joins their quest to the coaxium thing. I think all the people who join him are Beckett, Lando's droid L337, Kira, and I think that's it. I think that's all that joins him with the group. So yeah, what else is there? Oh yeah, So about Beckett, he's a pretty good character. I love how much of a smuggler he is, as much as he is Han. I love the beginning scene where like they're like in this snow place. They're like trying to like take this thing from like a train. Like they're trying to like rip a train. In They're trying to like rip a part of a train because like it has like something has like something in it to like deliver to someone. So yeah, I love that whole sequence in the beginning. That was actually pretty cool. Um, what else is there? Um, what else is there? Let me think. So yeah, and I love one like they kind of like screw up with that plan. Like they end up dropping that train part and it explodes like has a really big explosion. And I love how much Beckett is really pissed off at Solo from like from like screwing off that deal. So yeah. What else is there? I love like how Becky like does get a bit tricky at times, and it's pretty cool. What else is there? Let me think. I really like Lando's droid L337. She's a really cool droid. I think she can fight in this movie. I love how she can like fight in this movie, and um I love how like she's really good with Lando, and Lando at times even treats her like she's his girlfriend. So yeah. Uh, what else is there? I really like the girl in the end, like the redhead girl in the end. Enfys Nest, I think that's her name. Yeah, I really like her in the end. I love how serious and I love how serious she is, and like how much she cares for her land, and like I love that whole battle in the end between her people and there's like Greedo's people, and like there's Andy's what's his name, Dryden Voss people. So yeah, and I love like the whole suit she has on and the mask she has on. That's pretty cool. So what else is there about her? Yeah, I love when like she's talking with Solo to like where he's landing his ship and all of that. So yeah. Um, what else is there? Uh, what else is there? Anything else? I think that's all the characters, all the major characters in this movie. Um, my only I know I said earlier that the actors do a good job, but like at times they do act a bit corny and cheesy at times. Like with Han Solo, he does act just a little bit cheesy at times. Uh, but like uh, yeah, he's still pretty good in all the other scenes. I think it's only one or two scenes that he's acting cheesy in. Uh, so what else is there? The soundtrack to this movie is pretty good too, and I love how like they bring back a lot of the soundtrack from the original trilogy. I love when they bring back the asteroid field soundtrack, for to where like land to where Han Solo's like controlling the ship and like he's trying to like get away from like the storm in space with like this giant monster, and like it's using the same song that was in the asteroid field, and it was really cool. Like it was really cool to see that music come back. So yeah. What else is there? Yeah, and I love that whole sequence too with like them trying to like get away from the monster, and I love how they kill the monster too. So yeah, and I love all the scenes with them in battle too, like with them like shooting like their like blasters. All those scenes are really cool too. So what else is there? Uh, the pacing to this movie is okay. This movie's like 2 hours and 15 minutes long, and you do have not heavily, but you do feel its runtime in this movie. Like, yeah, like, there are some boring scenes in this movie. Like, this movie does get just a smidge boring at times. Like, at a little bit of times, it gets boring. Um, yeah, and that's what mostly makes you feel its runtime is like a little bit of the boring stuff in this movie. Yeah. So yeah, and, like I said, all the action and the effects are done really well in this movie. And the tone to this movie did not have a lot of heart in making it. They could have like I said earlier, they could have done way better job with making an origin about Han Solo, and like they should have had so much care with this movie. Like they should have had way more care in this movie than it truly does. So yeah, I think is there anything else for me to talk about? Yeah, and I really like Han Solo and Chewie's like friendship in this movie. It'd be a crime to not say how much you love their relationship in all the movies they're in. So yeah, their relationship in here, I love their like relationship in here. It's like really cool, like how they started off their relationship and like how much of friends they become like throughout the whole movie. So yeah, and I just love how like in all the Star Wars movies, Chewie is just always on Solo's side. So yeah, uh, what else is there for me to talk about? Yeah, I really like this the way this movie ends too, and like the spoiler thing that everyone knows about in this movie. Let's talk about that, and that is Darth Maul. Darth Maul is actually in this movie. Um, so yeah, Darth Maul he's in this movie, and it's a really big surprise because like in Phantom Menace you saw him get chopped in half by Obi-Wan and like falling down, and so yeah, and like here he's actually alive, and it's just like holy shit, Darth Maul's actually alive and he has his two-sided lightsaber back. So yeah, that was actually really cool to see. So yeah, and I love that whole scene with like he's just like in a hologram and he's talking with this girl. I won't say who it was, who it is, because it's kind of a spoiler. But like I love like how he's just like in his hologram. He's like in a hologram and like you really see like at first he's like a human and then he turns into like this like he turns into like what you know him from as this red Darth Maul with his two-sided lightsaber. So yeah, that whole scene was really cool. And I do hope they do bring back Darth Maul in some more rip-off Star Wars movies, and I really hope they make a Obi-Wan Kenobi rip-off Star Wars movie and have Darth Maul be the villain to that. That'd be really cool, to be honest. But that won't be until like Hollywood starts opening up and like the world lives and like the protest and the virus ends. So yeah, but that would be a really cool idea to make a Obi-Wan movie with Darth Maul being the villain. So, what else is there for me to talk about? Yeah, I really like the way this movie ends too, like with like Han Solo like acting like he does in A New Hope, and like with his hands on his hip and all of that, and like him like just like acting cocky in the end, and like the card game he plays with Lando and how cocky he acts in that scene. So yeah, I love the way this movie ends, and like he keeps the Millennium Falcon from Lando. So yeah, I just love the way this movie ends. So yeah, I think that's all there is to talk about. So to rate this movie, I'll rate it a B, a solid B. So yeah, it's not bad or anything. It's just a little mediocre. Um, and it's one of the weaker Star Wars movies. So yeah, I'll rate it a B. I think that'll be the end of the review. So bye and see you all in the next review.